Hello, friends. The 1,051 days of the war between Russia and Ukraine continues. Yesterday, Russian troops advanced in the Kursk region. They entered Makhnovka south of Sudzha and advanced towards Leonidovo from Novoivanovka in the western part of the Ukrainian bridgehead. On the northern salient, the Russians made significant progress towards Malaya Lochnia in the area of Staraya Sorochina, according to a map from the military telegram channel Deep State. The Russians had previously reported these advances. Today, the enemy again continued to advance from the west of the Ukrainian bridgehead. Ukrainian control has been lost over Leonidovo, Alexandria, Kruglenkoye, Nikolaevka, and partially over Staraya and Novaya Sorochina. This is evidenced by a map from the military telegram channel Deep State. The telegram channel also writes that while our media were dividing the skin of an unkilled bear near Berdin, the enemy continues to push through the left flank of the defense forces in the Kursk region. Unfortunately, due to the desire to catch the hype, a false impression was created that our forces are already storming the Kursk nuclear power plant, writes Deep State. Taking advantage of their manpower advantage, the Russians continue to approach the Malaya Lochnia River, forming a new line of confrontation along it. The situation between Nizhny Klin and Sverdlikovo, where the enemy also carried out assault operations, is unknown. Novoivanovka and Kruglenkoye, apparently, are lost. Our forces in Leonidovo and Alexandria are still a big question. In Pokrovsk, the Ukrainian armed forces repelled many attacks, but the enemy is pressing there, from the south. In Novosotnetsky, the enemy quickly restored the situation, but whether any of the defense forces remained in Berdin is also a question, Deep State reports. Meanwhile, Russian media today showed footage from the village of Berdin. Judging by the footage, this village is under Russian control. That is, the offensive actions of the Ukrainian armed forces did not bring results in the form of an increase in the controlled territory in the Kursk region. Although the version that the Ukrainian troops are preparing the main attack later and in another place is still popular in Russian telegram channels. Overall, according to the map, the Ukrainian armed forces have lost about 40 square kilometers in the Kursk region since January 6. In the Donetsk region, the Russians have again advanced into Kurakhove and near Pokrovsk, according to the Deep State map. In Kurakhove, the Russians captured territories in the southwestern part of the city. Deep State previously wrote that as of the end of the day on January 6, there were still a certain number of observation posts within the city of Kurakhove in the vicinity of the thermal power plant, but this no longer had a global impact on control over the city. According to him, the city has become a place for quartering and concentrating personnel for further enemy actions in Dachny and further south. According to the telegram channel, the Russians are already transferring some units to another area near Myrnograd, where an increase in the number of enemy attacks is expected. Deep State writes that control over Kurakhove gives the Russian army many advantages for developing offensive actions in the west. The rapid loss of the central part had a very serious impact on the morale of the unit that was there, and the speaker's reports of control over the city demoralizes them even more, writes Deep State. To the north of Kurakhove, the Russians advanced in the area of Petropavlovka and Slavyanka. The 46th Brigade's telegram channel writes that the enemy did not take a break after capturing Kurakhove and attacked Dachny, where fighting is already underway in the vicinity of the settlement. But in the near future, this is a secondary direction for them. The enemy is delivering its main blow to the north in the area of Slavyanka Petropavlovka Shevchenko along the Vovcha River, to the flank of the forces defending the highway to Zaporizhia. Unfortunately, the pace of attack in this area is outpacing the speed of units' exit to the south of Kurakhove. If the enemy becomes more active in the direction of Ulakli, negative consequences are possible for the defending units, the 46th Brigade's telegram channel reports. Near Pokrovsk, the Russians are advancing to the southwest, towards Udachny and Uspanivka, and to the east, towards the highway to Kostiantynivka. On the approaches to the Dnipropetrovsk region to Pokrovsk, the main battles are unfolding for Solony, having captured which, the Russians will be able to begin the battle for Yevhenii, writes a Ukrainian military man with the call sign Muchnoy. As for the Pokrovsk-Kostiantynivka highway, according to Deep State, on January 7, the enemy broke through to the highway with 2 tanks and 3 infantry fighting vehicles. Along the way, 1 unit of equipment exploded or was hit, and the rest drove around minefields and ended up on the highway. At that moment, the enemy decided to roll back to Vozdvizhenka. During this, the equipment was destroyed, although the Russians managed to land troops, writes Deep State. Today, the head of the Kupiansk administration, Bridgehead, said that in the north of the Kharkiv region, the Russians may try to enter the rear of the Ukrainian armed forces near Vovchansk. He believes that from the Dvorichna area, where the Russians are trying to gain a foothold on the western bank of the Oskil River, they can then go north to Vovchansk, and South Kupiansk is 2 kilometers from there. A very difficult situation that poses a threat not only to the Kupiansk direction, but also to Vovchansk. This is the Dvorichna direction, where the enemy is planning to gain a foothold in the village itself on the right bank of the Oskil. Thus, if they manage to transfer equipment to the western bank of the Oskil, there will be a threat of entering the rear in the Vovchansk direction and directly into Kupiansk, Bridgehead said. Also today, Deep State commented on the situation in the Dvorichna area. According to him, battles have been going on in the Dvorichna area for quite a long time, where the Russians have a bridgehead. The enemy is constantly transferring infantry there, saturating the area with its forces to consolidate and develop its success. In the village, Russian infantry constantly tries to run there, tries to hide among the houses in order to at least survive the hunt for them by the defense forces' drones. But unfortunately, the available resources are not enough to prevent the enemy from infiltrating the settlement, much less displacing them from the formed bridgehead. At the same time, this is hindered by the chaotic situation with the lack of a normal organizational process to resolve the current situation. And it is not getting better, the Telegram channel writes. In several areas of Dvorichna, where a gray zone has formed, there is a practical advance of the enemy with subsequent destruction. But he is constantly trying to consolidate there, and this is happening without ceasing. Along with this, the enemy is putting pressure on the settlement of Zapadny with the aim of occupying it, Deep State reports. Friends, this channel exists solely thanks to your support. If you have the opportunity and desire to support the channel, I will be very grateful to you. I also want to ask you to leave comments. This helps promote the channel. Thank you very much and see you in the next video.